Welcome to Business Talk, presented in collaboration with the University of Rio Grande and the Ohio State University South Centers, from the heart of southeastern Ohio at the University of Rio Grande TV studio. Our goals are simple: promote the University of Rio Grande and the Ohio State University South Centers, as well as advocate local small business and their support organizations. More importantly, promote southeastern Ohio as a wonderful place to live, explore, and learn. There are many different ways you can find us. The University of Rio Grande Cable Access Channel 17, live online at blogtalkradio.com, and on YouTube if you are unable to catch our show live. Introducing our co-hosts, Jason Winters, Mike Thompson, Patrick Dengel. Thank you for tuning in. We hope you enjoy the show.
Hey, welcome back to our special Business Talk segment in which we are pleased to be able to interview a faculty member at the College of Business, the Emerson E. College of Business, Allen Beatty. Allen Beatty has had a tremendous amount of effort and time in making the accounting program exceptionally well done. Unfortunately, this is his last year, and we wanted to take the opportunity to talk with Allen about some of the different programs that he was involved with and how he is one of those unique individuals that truly believes that students, if given proper education, can really excel at any college, and especially at the University of Rio Grande Community College. So it's my pleasure to talk with Allen Beatty, who is the accounting instructor here at the University of Rio Grande, and I welcome you.
Thank you, Patrick. Thanks for having me on.
Allen, you've had a number of different programs that have been very, very instrumental with students here at the University of Rio Grande. But before we talk about those programs, let's share a little bit of information about you. You have had a variety of different experiences ranging from corporations to your own business. Mm-hmm. So let's talk a little bit about how you got started in accounting and what led you to the University of Rio Grande, and then you're moving on.
Okay. Well, first of all, like a lot of things, it actually was really a mistake. I started out I started out as a stockbroker. My undergraduate degree's in finance, and I started out as a stockbroker. And back in the early 90s, one of my colleagues said, if you want to grow your business, you should learn how to do taxes. And I went to the H&R Block Tax School.
Okay.
And from there, I ended up doing more income tax work than I did financial planning work. And little by little, it just kind of evolved more into an accounting career than in a tax career than it did of actually financial planning.
Well, I give you a lot of credit as to doing taxes and things of that nature, because it seems like every year they add something or they do away with something, and it's a tremendous amount of information that we as taxpayers have to absorb. And thank goodness that we do have tax preparers that understand the needs of making our tax correct.
And a lot of reading goes into that to make that happen.
Yes, and it seems now this is what I heard, and I'm not sure, and maybe you would understand a little bit more, but it seems like the tax codes get rewritten every 31 years. Or 32 years. And we are in our 31st year since it has been rewritten.
1986.
1986. And it was under President Ronald Reagan.
Yes.
And it's possibly about time to be able to make some changes on it.
That very well could happen, if people could get along. I don't know if they can get along to do that.
I understand. But, you know, in doing taxes, it's my understanding that you helped to start a program called VITA.
Yes. Or also known as VITA. There's, it all, I mean, VITA, VITA, whatever, tomato, as they say, but Volunteer Income Tax Assistance Program.
Uh-huh.
And that is a program through the IRS where people with lower incomes, below $54,000, and more of your basic returns can come here, and the students will prepare the returns for the taxpayer for free, providing that they meet the criteria. You don't have a business or something, you know, rental property or something like that.
Right, right. So in essence, you have students that can help prepare the tax forms.
Yes, yes. We have 8 students, I believe.
Wow.
That are preparing the returns, and one of them has even taken the additional training. Isaac Andrews, he is also a site coordinator, so he can actually review returns, and his big role has been scheduling the students. So I don't have to worry about it. I just put out there an electronic calendar in Blackboard that we have so-and-so coming as an appointment, their phone number, and then he just deploys his methods through text or whatever social media these days, you know, and gets preparers here.
And you have my curiosity. Are there a lot of non-students that come to the program, get their taxes prepared, or is it primarily for students?
No, most of them are non-students. In
great.
fact, a lot of what we've had is ARP does a similar program at the Library and Gal Police, but they've been overwhelmed. So a lot of what we've had the last few weeks have been overflow from there. But it is not necessarily for students. The students are the preparers. They've been trained through the program, but the customer, so to speak, is from anywhere in the community.
And so as they are preparing, are you tied in with a computer system like TurboTax or TaxAct or something like that?
Yes, the IRS has contracted with a software company called TaxSlayer, and basically it's an online, up in the cloud, I guess they say, program, and the student prepares the return with the client there, and then it's reviewed by me or Mary Leffler, one of the other accounting instructors, or Isaac. So it goes through 2 sets of eyes, and then is sent out to the IRS through this TaxSlayer program.
Interesting. So that's really how you got your start into the small business, was preparing taxes for individuals.
Yes.
And that was before the turn of the century.
Yes, that was before. That was the last century. Yes.
Yes.
Before smartphones.
Smartphones. Oh my gosh. And so, you know, with the tax preparedness, you then moved into some other kind of, well, let's see, you had mentioned that you were a stockbroker.
Yes.
And then you moved into several corporations and helping them with annuities and mutual funds, and I think that's great. Tell us more.
Well, with the stock brokerage, the investments, annuities, and mutual funds, that was part of my own business, which later became Apple Tax Services when we relocated to Jackson from Fairfield County. But basically what happened was, as I'd mentioned to you, I married my wife Molly, who was one of my tax clients, and she was self-employed, and that was in 1999. I thought, you know, I need to get a real job so I have health insurance. So that was what kind of started that journey into the corporate world, and I downsized my business tremendously, but I mainly became a corporate employee, and that was my day job, so to speak, for the health insurance more than anything.
Yeah, but the love for teaching has always been in your blood.
Yes, my wife actually picked up on that because she would notice how I would sit down with the clients and not just prepare their taxes, but I'd actually go through and explain to them different things they could do to improve their situations. That was kind of one of her ideas.
I understand. And so you've had a number of different places that you've been an instructor, a teacher, a faculty person, and that includes Wilmington College, where you're going to.
Yes, Wilmington College. I say we're heading out west.
Southern State colleges in the Wilmington area.
Yes.
You've also shared your services with a couple of the private colleges, business colleges, such as Gallipolis Career and Daymar. Mm-hmm. And you know, one of the things that I found is, regardless of the school, you always have those students that will excel, regardless of whether you come from Harvard or
yes.
you come from another school, etc.
So true.
Doesn't it also depend upon the instructor too?
I think, yeah, if the instructor doesn't show any interest in the students and in
Yeah.
the program, then that can make for a very long class session.
And I think oftentimes we as educators are always looking for those ideal students. For instance, those that just can't wait for you to say some words so they can jot it down. Those students that can't wait for more assignments. All of us are looking for those. But on the same token, we have those students that sometimes really don't know what they want. And so it's sort of our job to help them, encourage them to look at what their options are. Because I know that you've had a number of different students in the Emerson E. Evans College of Business here at the University of Rio Grande who have really excelled, like the gentleman you were talking about.
Yes.
And I know that you started a account finance club.
Accounting Finance Club, yes.
And tell us a little bit about what some of the students did. And
The Accounting Finance Club officially started, I think, in September of last year. Now, the idea behind it is to have some guest speakers come in, talk about various careers, go into some field trips. In all honesty, pretty much the VITA activities has taken over for that. So
Sure.
really, the only thing that we have actually done is really, which has been a big thing, don't take me wrong, but I'm hoping that after my departure and Mary's kind of filling in that role, that maybe they can go to some field trips and have some speakers in. But we just got started, but ultimately like to do other things besides VITA.
yeah, and it's like anything else. You have to build the direction, and the one thing that I noticed with you, Allen, is that you allow your students to participate as much as possible. It's just not all you. It's what the students want to do, and that's a nice thing because you as a faculty person can only give opportunities, and many times students will take those opportunities and can't. It really helps in their jobs in the future.
I think it's important that they be involved. I just don't want to be a machine just regurgitating.
Sure.
It makes it kind of for a boring class, and I have to monitor myself to take the feedback from the students to see, okay, do I need to be a little bit more interactive?
Yeah.
And the one thing about the classes that I have is I try to, because I still feel like I'm kind of learning about all this as far as teaching, I really just try to take it as much as possible what I've learned in the corporate world. For example, all my students have to sign in the sign-in sheet every day. If they don't sign in like they told us in the Army, if it's not documented, it never happens. So they don't get points for that day. They have to learn to sign in, because in the corporate world, if you're going to seminars and so forth, you need to make sure you sign in, be it a
That's right,
physical seminar
That's
or
right.
logging on. You just can't sit with your friend and watch it. You don't get credit for it, and you actually log in from your PC and your ID. So.
I think that's very important, and being from that corporate world, it can be a mean, ugly place.
Yes, it
Well,
can
as
be. I share some stories with students.
and it can also be an opportunity laden with great opportunities.
Yes. Which is why if they're majoring in some sort of business, if it's not accounting, just business management, with different concentrations or whatever, that's something that hopefully they need to learn about. And maybe as much as we want to keep them in the business school, maybe they'll realize they want something else. But it needs to be catered to them, that they kind of know what they're getting into.
Yeah, and now let's see, you're going as assistant professor.
Yes,
To the
of accounting.
Wilmington College. That's a private school or
Yes,
private college.
it is a private college, yes.
They are accredited similar to Ohio State University and University of Rio Grande.
Exactly,
Oh, good.
same institution.
Oh, very good, very good. And the very first question is that I had asked you, are you going to miss us? And you had said before the screen, yes.
Most definitely.
And maybe that you'll get a chance to come back. There's a couple things, Allen, that I have a lot of respect for, and it's the fact that you're just not a one you are well educated, well rounded, and I know that there have been books in your life, there have been experiences in your life, and social media kinds of things. Let's start with some books that perhaps have played an important part in your world.
Well, I have a student success list that I post on Blackboard, and I put it up on the projector screen. I mentioned all my students at the end of the semester, and there's about 4 different books, and one of them is Free Agent Nation by Daniel Pink. And it's probably close to 20 years old, but basically, I just try to remind the students it's not what their grandparents had, where you didn't work at a place and stayed there 20, 40 years or whatever, that you kind of have to look like, just like a free agent ball player, that you have to always be open for other opportunities and know that it's just that's the way it is this day.
That is true.
As much as we all would like it to be, where you just worked at GM for 40 years or what have you, it's just not like that
with
anymore.
A 10% raise.
Exactly,
Year.
it just doesn't happen that way.
Yep. So what's another book?
Another one is a classic one, What Colors Your Parachute by Dick Bowles. Now, I always laugh about this because this is 30 or 40 years and it's running. They told me about this in high school, and I always thought it was a stupid sounding book. And finally, I think it was in 2008 or thereabouts, I picked it up and I thought, this is a fascinating book that talks about one of the big things I remember getting out of it is true what they say, it's who you know, and to really focus your efforts on networking for job leads rather than just cold applying through the internet or newspaper.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. And then one more.
Another one, I suppose the next favorite one is a fairly new one, The Power of Failure by Fran Tarkenton. Patrick, are you familiar with Fran Tarkenton? Is that name?
He is the football, let's see, he was a football great for the Pittsburgh Steelers?
Minnesota Vikings.
I knew that.
Minnesota Vikings.
I was testing you to see if you really do.
Of all people, I got this idea of this book. Rush Limbaugh was talking about this a little over a year ago and praising it because he says that a lot of the experts say, failure is not an option. And Fran, it's a fairly small book, quick read, talks about, no, that is how you learn and grow. You should embrace failure. And for example, one of his big failures, he thought he wanted to play for the Washington Redskins, and they passed him up. He ended up going to the expansion team at that time, the Vikings, and his attitude was, well, I will show you guys that you should have picked me, and from that he had a stellar career. But Fran has went on to be a business leader and a coach, for several decades now after being off the football field. But that book meant a lot to me because I really think he just tells it the way it is.
Well, I tend to agree with you about the failures. I think that failures are very good as long as you don't make the same mistake twice.
Yes, keep repeating it, then it's insanity, as they say.
That is true. There have been some exceptional authors and leaders and innovators. Name a couple people that you admire the most.
Dale Carnegie, which he has since passed on, but he has the start of the Dale Carnegie School on Public Speaking and also has other schools for sales training. And I was fortunate enough to go through that through high school,
very good.
through a program.
Power of positive thinking.
Yes, the power. Well, that was Napoleon Hill, I think, maybe, but the power, I think.
Okay.
But they're all about that same time frame.
Right. And that's so true. If we go around saying, I don't think I'll graduate, I don't think I'll graduate, I don't think I'll graduate, your thoughts become what happens.
Yes, they sure do.
And so that's a good, so who else?
Jeff Gitmer, he's written some book on management, time management, and sales, and he has little, like the little red book and the little blue book, and they're very easy to read. And I believe he's in New Jersey. And then John Maxwell, who I believe grew up here in Ohio, he is very well known, as made the rounds. Again, focusing, I think one of his things is focusing on your strengths rather than your weaknesses. So if you know there's an area that you're weak on, don't just try to beat yourself up and pursue that avenue. Maybe pursue something. For example, my stockbroker days, I was a failure at it, to be honest with you, because it was really sales, and I'm not a salesperson, but I kept trying to do that, and I realized, no, I should go into another area. Of course, it took me about 20 years to realize that. But
well, sometimes we look at salesmanship. Really, you're an educator. when it comes right down to it. An individual that comes to you oftentimes need to be educated as to what they need or what they don't need. And oftentimes, salespeople start out trying to sell to everyone, and they don't pre-choose those possible. So I understand what you're saying. Sometimes we are effective educators, which is effective salesmanship too. And that's
true.
Yeah. And another thing that you mentioned was time management. We are in the era of cell phones, iPhones, in which there was a gentleman who thought he was very well in handling time management. And he felt he was only on his phone for 1 hour. And there's an app on there that you can put on there called Now. And it every time you turn on that phone, whether it's just to check the weather or see if someone called, etc., it would register. And he thought, he could have swore he was only on there 1 hour. And it showed that he had been on there 3 hours. And that we as individuals don't realize all of the different time-wasting things that we get used to, the routines. And so time management is extremely important.
Yes. Yes, it is.
So the individuals that talk about that, we know with students like to wait until the last minute.
A lot of them do, but not all of them. There's some that jump in way ahead of time.
Oh, we love those students. But those that wait until the last minute, it's really surprising how time becomes a major factor in not getting the best possible grade.
Especially now, we're approaching final projects and exams.
Yep. And then we have some students, and they're well-meaning. They come up and say, "Hey, anything I can do to better my grade?" And it's like reality.
It's reality. I just like the corporate world. I'm sorry, but that's all been discussed ahead of time.
That's right. And I noticed that you are a very effective user of social media.
What I have found out, and I do have listed out with the students, LinkedIn being the top one. You have to be on LinkedIn. That's the professional site. It's kind of like electronic resume, if you will, with a professional photo. If you don't have a professional photo, don't have one out there. But I've actually had job offers through LinkedIn. I've had colleagues have job offers. So that one, and of course your normal one, I shouldn't say normal, but your ones that are not quite as professional, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat. Snapchat's the only one that I'm not on, but I will say that a lot of times you have to be on the level where the students are, and that's how they communicate. And even my clients in my business, that's how so often I get more probably contacts on my tax business for wanting appointments or questions through social media than I even do on text on phone or a call on the phone or whatever. It comes through social media. So it's just one of those avenues.
Let me ask you this. In our area, Facebook is extremely important. But if you listen to shows that are on NPR, they always use Twitter. So should we be doing Twitter instead of Facebook, or should we be doing Facebook instead of Twitter?
Twitter, of course, that's the famous one Donald Trump's on. The only thing, you're limited to the 141 characters, although I think there's a way somehow you can link it to Facebook and you can dig deeper, but you're limited on the amount of your characters.
Interesting. But for sure you would recommend Facebook.
I would recommend LinkedIn, definitely. You have to have LinkedIn, and then from there, Facebook and Twitter probably as well. But yes, that has kind of been a way where I've went out and helped to promote the VITA program. As a matter of fact, promoted that with I can think of at least one person, no, two actually. We've serviced here through the VITA program that contacted us through Facebook.
Very good.
So it's just kind of a modern day of be on top of the rooftop with a bullhorn, so to speak.
And the interesting thing is on Facebook, sometimes when we're at college, we do stupid things,
Yeah.
or in life. You know,
Yes.
sometimes. And it amazes me that when we do something stupid, we put it on Facebook. And weren't you the one that was telling me that employers now go through Facebook on potential applicants?
Yes, they do. And as a matter of fact, this is something that could be a good story. There was not only Facebook, but a candidate, a representative from Becker CPA review course, came in and spoke, and she said, because on LinkedIn you get a report to see who's looking at your profile. She said for their company, if you're interviewed and you don't look at the profile of the person interviewed with within 24, 48 hours, your application is thrown out. So,
Wow.
so they do monitor that stuff, and yes, they do. So you have to be careful with what you're
Yes.
doing on there. That's
Yes.
the thing. You have to be careful.
That is very true.
I fought like crazy. I did not get a Facebook account until it was Thanksgiving weekend of 2014. I had nothing to do, and I finally. So I really came to the party late on it.
Well, I think many of us people look at that. Allen, we're talking with Allen Beatty. Allen is now the assistant professor at Wilmington College. He has been very active in the Emerson E. Evans College of Business here at the University of Rio Grande. Started many different things, and we want to wish you good luck.
Thank you,
But we
Patrick.
hope that you will come back.
I'm sure I will. I'll be back to check out the Bob Evans Festival and the Rockets over Rio.
Very good, very good. I'm Patrick, and behind the scenes we have Mike Thompson. Mike Thompson is the director of the Instructional Design and Media Services, and it's his magic that allows us to air this time. So in that regards, thank you for listening and watching.
Thank you.